Buddy, and good evening. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, and we're here to talk about the Week 3 Wednesday Veto episode. We didn't get a veto ceremony, but we're here to react to this episode in particular, which, as mentioned, aired tonight, Wednesday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Top of the morning to you, top of the evening. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jaemeel Robinson. Hello, Jaemeel. Here
Hello.
on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. As we're here this is the 7th episode of BBCAN9 as well. And let's talk about this. What a night. Okay, this week is an exciting Big Brother Canada 9, Big Brother Canada, Big Brother week in general. This is.
Didn't I say so?
You said so. You were like, Dave, it's all gonna be about Wednesday. Forget Monday in these nominations. As much as and I was thrilled. I was like, wow, we're really seeing this this new counter Sunsetter alliance that look like they could be the dominant force in this game in the Sunsetters, but they have not controlled power this week, and it has hurt them. And all of their respective games have gone in different directions. Conversely, on the other side of the house, we have this other group that, you know, some of them are playing better than others too.
Yes.
And I think we're going to break all that down. So hey, there's no lack of content here. And we pick up tonight's episode right where we left off, which is the nominations of Latoya and Kiefer, which we see that obviously the people aligned with Latoya and Kiefer not pleased with this development, and sort of how that all goes. Let's talk about this first conversation right after the veto, which is like Kiefer, Latoya, and I think it's Jedson, right? And I don't know if Ty's there as well.
Yeah,
but
I think they were. It was only Tina and Tara that wasn't really there. Sorry, right. Tina and Beth, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. I think it was that group. They're conferring. They're saying, okay, like, you know, we have to win the veto. We got to pull us off of here. Things like this. This leads to a series of events tonight. Like, because Rohan walks in at one point, says, "Hey, what's so funny?" Because Kiefer and Latoya, I think, are saying
they're legit having a conversation about like the predicament they're in, and Kiefer's kind of talking about, you know, hey, you know, I kind of made my own bed. That's all right. And she's like, no, you know, keep your head up. We still have Veto to play for. And then it's like, well, we're going to see tonight, right? And they both start to chuckle about tonight. It's like, yeah, tonight's going to be like fireworks. And then Rohan jumps in the room and he feels like he walks into conversation. He leaves and he's like, he didn't even get like context. He's like, they were laughing and they were talking about fireworks. And it's like, something's happened tonight. Are they going to do something? Like, this scene got cut and they could have put so much more, because they were like speculating, like they're going to call a house meeting, like all this stuff. It's like, that's not what they were talking about. Like you are extrapolating the data so much, right? Trying to like jump to so many conclusions about this. It was nowhere as big of a deal. It was serious. When we're talking about how they showed it there in terms of how simple the conversation was that he stepped into, that's literally what he stepped into.
Right. But in terms of at least the way it was edited tonight and shown on tonight's show, I agree that, like, yeah, they were kind of winding down this conversation, like, hey, we're both on the block. Rohan, having been on the block, I think would understand that to some extent, like sort of maybe the bonding experience. Maybe he didn't bond with Josh, I don't know. But he felt them like change the conversation, kind of stop what they were saying when he came in. And I think just with this things he's feeling towards both of them, Kiefer and LT, about how the vote was almost flipped when he was on the block against Josh. I just think that it provoked it here. Now, I think we also got to talk about what he does here. So he goes and goes to talk to Kyle and I believe Austin. I think like Tina's there too, maybe. But I know Kyle and Austin are definitely there. I think in the OLG game room. And this is another time we've seen sort of this angry temper from Kyle. You know, I like, as much as maybe I'm cheering for his side of the house at the moment, Kyle is one of these people on this side that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. But he sort of serves what I'm looking to achieve as a fan. Like, So I guess that's how I'm looking at it. But if I think in terms of, I don't know if Kyle's long for this game. I think that there are bigger threats before Kyle, or potentially. But in terms of what happens here next, which is the other thing we talked about the other night, which was this bullying incident where Kyle and Rohan come at Kiefer in the pantry, while Tina and Tara are there tonight, and this turns into a blow up, a confrontation. Very uncomfortable.
It got cut so much.
Yeah, and so we didn't get to see all of it. The bit I did see of it, I do think that, like, I think they both didn't handle it well. Kyle and Rohan.
Agreed, absolutely.
This is like, as much as Rohan went and did this, their reaction here was very bad. They really hurt their image here. They would have been much served by just saying, like, just filing that away, just saying, okay, like, maybe they're going to put on fireworks tonight. But the anxiety, I guess, of having a confrontation was too much for them. They had to preemptively start this confrontation, and only helped Kiefer and LaToya, who they're supposed to be against in this confrontation. But we've seen this move before. We've seen, like, people who go after other people in the house, these big confrontations. I'm thinking like Amanda Zuckerman in BB15 going after people. But I remember that just hurting. People were just like, no, I don't want to work with Amanda now. Usually if you're kind of provoked into one of these positions where you're screaming at people, especially in like a house meeting situation, or any kind of, even in the pantry there, where you're kind of in a public setting, you're not in like a closed room conversation, it typically is going to go very badly for you. I don't, like, maybe there's exceptions where we saw like Austin and Josh, but Josh was going anywhere, so it's easy to side with Austin in that kind of a confrontation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so okay, tell me, maybe fill in the gaps here for me, Jaemeel. What am I missing?
Look, ultimately, your reaction is appropriate, right? It could have been handled a lot better, and what occurred wasn't necessarily what Kyle and Rohan were looking for in terms of the outcome, right? How much information did they get? Not much, right? What they came across was negative, even by their allies, right? And that's not necessarily that their allies believe that they're bullies, but if you're an ally, and like, there's going to be eventual time where I'm going to have to like go against you, and this is the reaction that you kind of have, I'm kind of reluctant to kind of take you down the line and have that potential blowout, in comparison to, like, look, Kiefer has done some sketch stuff, but Kiefer has owned up to everything, right? A little bit too much rolling over to die than I would like, right? But for the most part, he's pretty much like, you're right, I was wrong, or I disagree with you, and he lies, and people know that he's lying, but there's never this type of like aggressive attitude, right? And even though LaToya was seemingly getting involved to help Kiefer, that type of energy as well. The cop came out tonight. The cop definitely came out tonight. You're also looking at this and like, why am I keeping her when she's going to be that aggressive too, right? I think the only person that came across well in this whole situation was Kiefer, out of the four people, right?
Of everybody involved in this whole incident, Kiefer comes out smelling the best because he's just making dinner.
He's making dinner. He's in this situation, even if he's wrong, right? Kiefer's the type of person that anyone could pull aside and have a conversation with him, right? And he'll talk to you. He might not necessarily tell you what you want, but like, you'll have that conversation. You don't want to have a conversation with Kyle and try if he's getting that heightened, right?
I don't think I would want to.
Same thing with LaToya, right? So understandably, I understand why each person was in the position they were in. It could have been handled better, a lot better.
But I think we also saw, like, later on when we see this this attempt at a makeup between Kyle and LaToya.
Well, you got to rewind that. You have the Rohan and Kiefer kind of makeup session was
Well,
just
yeah.
before
So
that.
so there's this whole blow up. I think okay, like overall, my verdict on it is that like Kyle, he's gotta really tone that down when he's upset or he feels like he's been betrayed or whatever. Like his feelings are legitimate, but the way he expresses it, some of his facial expressions, I think, are coming across like this isn't a hockey game, Kyle. You can't. It's not. These are like you have to pull that back a bit, man. And
He should
in
have
Rowan,
waited till he was outside. He should have waited till outside and just have it like that conversation.
well,
If you're
yeah,
gonna have a big,
they should never have gone in that confrontation at all. They should have the smart move would have just been to do nothing. But if you're gonna say something, if you have to then not like this. You pull Kiefer aside and say, this sucked, and why did this happen? Or did Rohan not like get this wrong? But instead the emotions are running high and they're not managing that well, and that's bad gameplay, unfortunately. As much as Latoya wants to say what does she say? No, she says I don't like ball pits.
I do not like ball pits.
Yeah, but she also says
Make a game move. Don't make an emotional move.
oh Lord, we're gonna get into this throughout this episode because literally that is the dumbest thing to say this episode, right? Especially by her. Especially by
her entire alliance is emotion. I would say. Like at least the people who are at the top of that alliance in the four, not including maybe Kiefer and Tina, but we also get this. This speaking of Tina, we get this diary room session where she says, "Yeah, I'm not the Sunsetters. I'm still in it technically, but she feels very much at the bottom of it. She feels like she's drifting, I think, with Tara into sort of this middle spot." Right, or she's playing both sides. No one's playing both sides quite like Tina is at the moment.
Correct.
Right, and she could get exposed at some point, but for now she seems to be safely navigating this kind of middle area, right?
So just to jump in, this isn't in the episode. It isn't in the future in terms of like live feed future. This is at that point. The Sunsetters are aware of Tina's position. They have told her, hey, there's a little bit too much heat on us, so where you are is perfect because the other side trusts you, right? But you're still loyal to us. So you keep playing the middle. And Tina's like, okay. So
well, that's a great deal for Tina because
they've actually given her permission to play the middle. So like she's not gonna say no.
well, you made her
right?
a double agent, and now she has plausible deniability on both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for Tina. Great gameplay. And there's a net positive to Tara here because Tara really only has Tina. It seems like.
Yeah.
They were just getting the cream cheese or whatever we hear from Tara. She wasn't ready for that. Tara is a game player. I don't quite know yet what to make of Tara as a game player because she doesn't seem to want anything to do with the drama. I'm like, Tara, you're on Big Brother. Like, you don't think there's drama?
Well, I don't know what she's there for, but she's there and she's going to try to make the best of it, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. We also, I guess, like I have her in the draft, but I'm not feeling great about the Tara pick unless she floats to the end and somehow wins, but we'll see. We also have Kiefer and Rohan. Right. They have a session first where they're trying to at least apologize, and Rohan apologizes to Kiefer, and Kiefer says to him, as far as the game goes, I'm done with you, dog. I'm done with you.
I'm done. Well, Kiefer actually says for the most part that he's done in general. He's done playing. He's done throwing out names. He's just gonna like, if I get voted out, that's cool. That's how it is. But at the same time, you're not gonna see me start like dragging people or try to manipulate. I'm too soft in this game, he says repeatedly. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna play. And then he tells Rohan, he's like, you know what? After this game is over, we'll probably chill, hook up, and we could be friends and everything like that. But me and you in this game, we're done, right? We can keep it casual in terms of conversation, but in terms of gameplay, we're not playing together, man. You're gonna look back in this tape and you're gonna realize how wrong you are in terms of your opinions, right? I understand your point of view, but it's wrong, dog, and we're done, right? And Rohan was at least apologizing, whereas Kyle was like, people are calling me a bully and I don't like this, and you have to see where I'm coming from, and it seemed like he was more trying to correct the negative press as opposed to like legitimately apologizing, listening to what Kiefer feels, right? And feeling a little bit of remorse. I did not get that from Kyle at all.
Yeah, well, we don't see Kyle and Kiefer make up in any way here,
because it was barely a makeup.
Yeah, there's not really much of anything there, but we get Kyle in LT instead. This okay, like in this scene, LT she's like, what are you doing? Like, at least feign apologies and feign just like
she I thought both of them looked dumb in this because I think Kyle seemingly giving LT the apology that he should have gave Kiefer, right? But he looked like he was fishing for apology from her. It like
he definitely was. He wanted this to sort of he wanted to diffuse this, right? Because he's been accused of bullying and he's worried about how he's going to look on the show. And so, he says, I said some things you regret. You said some things you regret. She's like, no, I don't regret anything. I regret nothing. You are in the wrong, Kyle. And that's all I know.
Look, okay. I don't know what he was expecting from her. In the sense that if you know the person you're dealing with, and it's not like he doesn't know her.
He's lived with her for 3 weeks.
For enough, right? Enough time. If he said, hey, I apologize. That wasn't my intention. I know you got involved. Things were said, but I just wanted to let you know I apologize. Just leave it at that. They hug it out, they leave. Maybe LaToya would come and say, you know what? I thought about what you said. You're absolutely right. I approached this wrong. But for him to go and say, both of us said things that were wrong, and we both are have things that we're sorry for. She's not gonna say I'm sorry after you kind of lay the table out like that. The type of person she is, she's gonna upend the table. It's like, no, I'm not sorry, but I'm glad that you're sorry, and then walk off, which basically what she did, right? Honestly, if I was Kyle, he should have kind of done that in a more public setting so that people can hear in like earshot and see how bad LaToya is. Right.
But this wasn't a game move. This was an image / I don't know if he actually cares about being friends with LaToya, but
look, we had Mickey win Big Brother, and like did he really get dragged as bad as Aaron did? It's debatable. So this little blow up thing, bully thing, you can walk away from. You don't have to do any.
I don't think he didn't cross some kind of line that I think is going to carry him around. But I think if Kyle is smart, he's got to realize that he's being perceived in a certain way, and if he doesn't adjust to it, then he'll get what he deserves if he hasn't dug enough of a hole here. But we also get more of this the solidification. So this more a new name, a new alliance name tonight, Jaemeel.
I didn't want to say anything was it on Monday because I wanted you to hear it yourselves.
Okay, because the other night it was the Bossy Glossies, right?
That's the core group.
And then there was we knew that like Kyle and Rohan were somewhat attached to them, but they didn't seem to be part of the Bossy Glossies. So here we get tonight the oddballs, right? Whatever. It's
the Midnighters is what they should have been called,
but they don't know the name of the other team.
I know, but people on like feed watches and through social media, they were calling them the Midnighters, and I'm like, oh, that's so good.
The Midnighters. That would be better, but it's a working title. The Oddballs. Now we get a quick diary room session, and I guess they asked them like, who are in the Oddballs, and they go, the Oddballs are everybody else except for basically the Sunsetters minus because they don't know Tina's in them in the Sunsetters, so Correct. They think that, but they figured out the other 5. They know it's Kiefer, Ty, Beth, Jedson, and LaToya, and Tina's just the one they don't know about. But Tina is not, now that they've given Tina this double agent role, she's like, whatever, I can go either way. Unless they expose her as being part of it, and she has deniability. But
what is she gonna do? She could turn around and say, "I was with them, and then I totally left them because I have no reason to stay with them."
Or she can deny it, and I don't think anyone's gonna believe it, right? Like I think she could deny it flat out. Immediately after this name is dropped on us, the oddballs. So or the midnighters or whatever we're going to call them.
No, all balls. It's all balls.
Tina, we see Tina and Tara are up like sort of on the upper level in chairs, just kind of seemingly watching some of the other maybe alliance members at the bottom and talking out. And Tina says she's like that one of those stretch dolls. She doesn't say Stretch Armstrong. Maybe that was a copyright they couldn't get permission to say on the air. But she's talking to Tara, and their whole conversation's about like, I'm sure we're not on the show. I'm sure we're never making the edits on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. But here they were, ironically, talking about how they'll never make the show. And we get this little session. I thought that I got a little glimpse into both of their personalities and their friendship, maybe a little bit more than I have so far. It endeared them both to me a little bit more.
Yeah, I like both of them, right? Like, here's the thing: majority of this cast, I don't hate. The person, if we remember a thing, I had 3 people I had at my bottom that I said I hated the most. And that was Rohan, Josh, and Brayden were my bottom 3. Brayden, we haven't really seen him.
I don't know about Brayden yet. I haven't fully made my mind up about him
right?
Yet.
But Josh and Rohan have been better than I thought they were going to be. Right? Josh wasn't that bad. All right.
Rohan's been much better than we thought.
Rohan a lot more. I kind of feel that Rohan is actually in a worse position because Kyle is in the game and he's so close to Kyle. And Kyle just seems like social kryptonite for the most part.
Well, I think that they're eventually, one way or another, they're going to want to break up Kyle and Rohan, and they'll probably end up on the block next to each other. But I got to think that it will be Kyle that goes. When that time comes. Yeah, like I just feel like, so I think it's serving Rohan right now to work with him. But this oddball alliance that is at the core is the baby, or what do they call the bossy glossies? They're the bosses. So it's Victoria, Brayden, and Austin. I am liking this trio. I think that they are smart, but maybe overconfident, right? Like they've had 2 HOHs between Austin and Victoria now. And Brayden,
but only really one where they controlled the vote. Really,
only one. That's true. But they're gaining steam here, and then we but then we got to get back to the game here because we get sorry, my lights went out.
Are you okay? Oh, volume. So
here, just talk for a second. I got
yeah. So Dave is currently looking after. He has some technical difficulties. I hope everyone's enjoying their St. Patty's Day. Remember, it's Patty's Day with D's. Don't use T's. The short form for Patrick in this regard is supposed to be with D's and not T's. Irish person would get very angry at you and glare evilly. I shouldn't say evilly. That's mean. Glare disappointedly at you if you use the T's, not the D's. So remember, unless you're talking about the Pats, the former Toronto Maple Leafs team, you're supposed to mean the Patties as in DDY.
Thank you, Jaemeel. Sorry, I have to. I keep meaning to fix it, but I have like automatic timers that change my lights. But because I wasn't podcasting on Wednesdays this late in the past. Anyway, so my apologies for the technical difficulties, but we were just talking about how they had the picking of the Veto players ceremony, and Victoria picked Tashawn out of the bag. That was the first draw here. Latoya gets house guest choice, and she can't even believe it.
There's so few people that she can choose from, though. It's like, like the odds are so. I'm like, no, the odds are actually pretty good for you guys to get chosen because, like, you guys take half of the house. Honestly, half. The
right.
house.
Well, that was the whole idea. Is they wanted a strong numbers alliance, and that's kind of made up of strong players. And yeah, they were saying like, what's the chances that Jed and Ty can both be picked? Well, it's not 0, that's for sure. Yeah. And so she picks Jedson,
Which is
right?
like, oh, hey, way to keep that alliance low key. I love
Way
it.
not to expose your Sunsetter Alliance. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're worried about not exposing this anymore, or if they're still trying to play Big Brother. But it's pretty obvious. And then Kiefer has the last pick. He randomly picks out Austin. She's the only non-Sunsetter to be picked in this veto, and they are just tickled pink, as Donnie would say from BB16. They are so happy. They are just like, wow. And they kind of realize, okay, Kiefer and Latoya on the block. If Jedson or Ty were to win, then they could take one of them down. Obviously, that person who won the veto can't be the renom. So it really helps them. And then they could push Victoria maybe to nominate somebody like Tara or Kyle, which we thought these were the other names that were getting thrown out a little bit as possible renoms. And but this alliance always just rubs me the wrong way. They're just so confident and they're so into themselves, and
But they haven't done anything. They literally have not. They've won amongst themselves. They won a veto.
But it's perception. I guess. I think is it just perception? Is it just the fact that Ty and Jedson have abs? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Why is they're being valued so highly? Like,
Look. Here's the thing. They are presenting themselves like they're like the outcast group, kind of like any minor victory. They're like, yeah, we did it, blah, blah, blah. And they were the dominant alliance like 24 hours ago prior to this. Right? It's absurd. And it's just absolutely, they do not understand their brand at all. They have had no idea what they're supposed to be. Right? They have power or had power. They never wielded it properly, and now they're still had this huge head, even though they have literally they have no power this week.
They have no power, but they have hubris.
Yes,
in spades. I think that Jedson seems to be the most aware. I'm taking Kiefer out of here a little bit because he even says tonight, I think I'm at the bottom of this alliance. And you are, Kiefer. You and Tina are at the bottom of this alliance. It's, and Beth is just barely above you. But it's really about Latoya, Jedson, and Ty. And they're just, I don't know, like I'm not quite clear what game they think they're playing, but Latoya and Ty just seem like they don't get it. They don't get why they're not running the house. Is that maybe it, or is that it? I'm struggling to understand their point of view and where they're coming from sometimes. Yeah, because they're not being gracious. They're not like, I'm much more respectful of the way Kiefer is playing this week, where he's like, put me on the block. I'm clearly on the outs. He's hoping that you can play that, and you can sometimes turn that into a second life in a game, right?
Doesn't it feel like what I mean is, doesn't it feel like if, let's say, for example, Kiefer was the actual target, the way he's acting and the way Latoya, Jed, Ty are acting, wouldn't you just like, what? I want to keep Kiefer. He's not going to make waves, right? He says he's down with me. He wants to make it up. He's saying all the right things, right? He could be lying, but at the same time, you have this trio that are acting like they're running the game, and they have no power. They're unable to protect themselves for the most part, right? And they're still talking to people like they're running the game. I don't like no one would like that and would want to vote them out. It makes
I would
no sense.
I would want to vote all four of these people. Like Kiefer, I think is salvageable. Like you could, if you can get rid of these allies, then maybe he's a number for you or something, because he'll be a free agent. But I wouldn't want to work with any four of them. Like maybe Ty, if he didn't maybe have them.
But Ty is kind of the only one who's emotionally adult. It seems
and compared to the way we saw Jedson tonight and Latoya coming at Victoria the way they did, it was you want to talk about bullying and standing up for things, but I don't think that they see themselves as so righteous as well.
That's the issue. Although Victoria wasn't necessarily cornered, like Kiefer was in like a very confined space,
Mm-hmm.
there was an aggressive attitude that they had. And I know we're kind of jumping a little bit forward to just before the veto ceremony conversation that kind of ended the show. But LaToya saying that's how you have a conversation, I was begging for that to be in the episode, because like Victoria was absolutely right. It's like, don't effing talk to me like that, right? And like,
Well, that's awkward.
like I was like, hold on a second, who's HOH? Like LaToya's acting like she's HOH and saying that's how you have a conversation. You shut up and I talk and then wait for your turn. And it's like, no, man, this is my HOH room. This is my HOH. I'm gonna play it the way I want to. I felt that Victoria was humoring them a little bit too much and giving them an explanation. It's like, look, this is how she should have just cut it dry. It's like, I want to work with you guys, but you guys are too prone to flip. So to make sure that things are gonna go the way I want it, you're staying on the block. You take her off, I'm gonna put your buddy on. Right? That's it. Too bad, too sad. Right?
I want to get there, and you're right. We are skipping ahead. So just quickly, let's talk about this veto comp itself. Okay. Well,
OLG all over this season.
Okay, well, yeah, my one note just before the comp started, because Victoria gives us this diary room, which I just find is, I'm sure production just got her to say it, but she's like, I never thought I would have to renominate somebody this week. You never thought so? Okay, whatever. But the competition, another OLG sponsored event. We get it's crossword scratch tickets or something. I don't play these games of chance. Because the Bible tells me not to. No, that's not why. But it's this interesting kind of like almost Plinko style game where you have to like or even Connect Four, where you have to like drop these tiles to form a crossword. I thought it was a kind of a clever, fun little game, and you have to like make words like veto and target,
super
and alliance, super fan, like, buzzwords for the show, and like. We saw here that Austin and Jedson seem to be the best at this. They seem to be the leads out front. I really liked the diary room session where Braden was talking about Austin and how smart she is, and like, he seems to really believe in her. And I kind of liked that moment. How smart Austin is yet, like we saw her win one competition. Okay,
and she said in her like intro that she has like a photographic memory.
Right. So she believes in herself, at least at the moment, but I kind of need to see a little bit more out of Austin before I sign her as a mental comp beast or anything like that. Even Ty gave a little bit of a confessional. He was like, so we get there and I thought it was gonna be endurance or strength, and it's crossword. Right. And I was like, Ty is not feeling the fact that he hasn't got to show off what he thinks are his skills or what makes him a valuable alliance member, which is like probably winning a competition such as that, or something that would have that being a more physical, athletic person would give you an advantage at. But I'm okay with it. Like, these competitions don't have to follow what you think they should. They can be anything.
Hey, look. I would laugh if all the physical competitions occur when Ty and
Jedson are gone.
Jedson can't compete. Like, either one of them is eliminated and one was just HOH, and it's like, here's a very physical competition. Can't play in the HOH. Sorry. It's Tina versus Tara versus Kiefer in the end of this competition.
Like, if they had to do something like the slip and slide, which I think is a competition that a man almost always wins in the US version, usually a very tall man like a Kyle or something like that, right? So like, I don't see Tara winning a competition like that, or just height wise and length of your legs. And so there are things like, there are competitions that come up in Big Brother, and if you're like a Pretty Boys Alliance, yeah, we're gonna win all of these, because I don't know, when I was growing up, there was always those kids in your class. They're just fucking good at. I'm sorry, I'm swearing. They're just good at everything. They're just like they're the best at the sports. About and that's kind of like what Jedson and Ty I think they are, at least. And that's the way a lot of people maybe perceived them early, and that was like their value. That was their stock. But they haven't done it here. Now Jedson goes on to win this tonight, showing that he's he got his clues. He did it very quickly. So he was able to kind of use the mental physical combo here in a way that Austin, I think, just couldn't quite keep up with. And so his combination of those two skills did serve him. But we saw the result here that that LaToya is so thrilled that Jensen won. Now she picked Jensen to play in it, so why wouldn't she be? But this reaction, Victoria's counter.
Play it cool, man.
Play it a little cooler than that.
I'm surprised the four of them didn't just like in the middle, just like put hands and just go like this afterwards. Just like be obvious. They should have just did like a line where they're just like, "Yeah, we won." Like keep it cool.
Well, yeah, like the fact that they did it later on, they celebrate. Like, why bother? You guys did it basically in the space anyway. But like, yeah, we saw Kiefer and Jensen celebrating. The Sunsetters were very thrilled with themselves. They thought they had turned the tables on this situation, but you haven't yet, guys. Like, you keep like getting ahead of yourselves. You get a little too excited. Especially like LaToya, I think, is just she gets the other two, and I guess Beth. I don't really know what's going on with Beth, but I do consider her part of this four. But yeah, like that she just gets those two guys kind of like, rah, we're gonna tell Victoria what's what, and and no, you're not. We get this bossy glossy conference. Okay, what are we gonna do now? Like Victoria's like, this was worst case scenario. Jensen winning. What do we do? And they're like, okay, well, either you put up Beth or you put up Ty, right? And they weigh the pros and cons of both, but knowing that they have to break up Ty, Jensen, and LaToya, like that's more of a priority. And so Ty's the better option, but Beth being a backup, I guess, is fine to put up there with Kiefer. But I liked also that this little thing with Austin. She's like, well, what about Beth, right? But she's like, at the same time, they've cut ties technically with Beth, but they're still like keeping a relationship there because Beth thinks she has an in, but she doesn't. So they're playing Beth now. So this Austin, her stock went up with me in this meeting. Okay, I thought
cutting ties with Beth equals an upgrade in terms of your standings.
No, just how they're willing to use Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a little bit more calculating, a little bit more gameplay, right? And that side's not getting played by the emotional sort of cool kid side that they maybe hope that they are, that the Beth is hoping they are.
At the same time, don't you feel like all of this could have happened last week, right? And they're like a week behind with where they could have been, like because all the signs were there, right? That Josh flip was looking to happen. Right? Like all the people who were on the outs that you're now part of this week, they were on the outs last week. Like it feels like Victoria's put in work where Austin did not at all last week. Right? She seems
Austin was HOH last week, right? So now she's running around like a player, and I think she's looking at the game maybe with a little bit more perspective, right? Because maybe. Like I just don't. Like she's obviously saved her. She's working with Victoria. I just think I feel a little bit more positive on Austin after that quick little segment we got, and that was it. Just them playing the options because the cockiness, the sheer effing hubris of this Sunsetter group. They're just like, what do you mean? Of course they're Jensen won the veto and. We can put a tie. How stupid are they? How stupid is she? And like, well, are they like? Is she stupid or are you guys stupid? Like I think you need to ask yourselves this because, because you're tying it in with your ego, so you can't see past yourself.
They're the heroes of the story, and therefore, like. If you go against the hero, you're a bad guy or you're a person.
Right. And we've seen a lot of these players do this. Like we saw Cody Calafiore kind of playing a similar style. I've seen this style employed by a lot of these majority alliances, and they're trying to play the same playbook, but they're not doing it as well. They're just not executing it. They're premature. They give too much away. They don't hide their alliance in smart ways. In quite the opposite. They expose it in very stupid ways. Now, conversely, I think that this other group, the oddballs, is doing the same thing. Like, but they're doing it sort of after the fact, after they've kind of realized that these other 5 are so tight. Tina sort of removed from that, and so they're forming their own coalition, which is what the Senators should have never have let happen, and it would not be happening, like we said on Monday, if they hadn't tried to flip this vote from Josh to Rohan. Even though, yes, it was the right thing to do, but you guys came to the conclusion too late. You did all the wrong things to try to flip that vote way too late, and you thought you were running the game, and you got called, and now here you are, and you got what you deserved.
Yep, absolutely. You're right. If they put in the work earlier on and made a decision, they would be in a better place, but they didn't, and they thought they could, flex and make people bow to their will at the last second, and they lost. They lost that game of wills, and it seems that they're broken, honestly.
I don't think Latoya is somebody who's not used to getting what she wants. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but I
think she's had to kind of put her head down and kind of break through various obstacles in her life, and she does not know how to take an L. Right.
And I in real life, I have complete admiration for that never give up attitude, and so I'm sure that serves her very well in her life, But in terms of this game, it's not compatible.
That ain't not Schiff. Yeah, you're right. It's not it.
Right. And how old is Latoya? I just want to check. Latoya is 34. Okay, so she's been around, but talk about someone who got what they deserved. Let's talk about this segment tonight with the skip the dishes have-nots. I didn't even vote in this. I tried to vote the other night. It wasn't up, and I guess it happened between now and Monday. But the 4 have-nots, which were all people close to Victoria: Rohan, Kyle, Braden, and Austin. And they go, one of you will not be the veto anymore. Is this something, or not the veto? One of you will not be a have-not anymore. Is this something they're going to do every week, you think? Like relieve one of the have-nots?
They're going to do it every so often. I absolutely hate it. So I think if you're a have-not, you're a have-not.
The only thing I only counter devil's advocate argument I can make for it is it's just a way for revenue for the show. They need a segment with a sponsor, skip the dishes, and I guess this is how they sold it to them. But you're right, it doesn't serve the show in that way. But if they were like, you don't get Big Brother Canada if we're not allowed to do skip the dishes promos, I'd be like, okay, fine, do your skip the dishes promo. Like if that's the trade-off, I'll take it. But otherwise, yeah, like, or have more have-nots than just these 4 or something, or show us them. Like, because they're like, yeah, we've been eating slop all week and it sucks. I need real food every meal. Whatever. Whatever. Okay.
But you're right though. Like the whole thing about the have-nots is, you're in an uncomfortable position. You're sleeping in an uncomfortable place. You take showers and it's cold. You are eating food that is horrible. If this was Survivor, right? And the way Survivor works is if someone's in a bad spot, they're going to show you the bad spot so that you have an understanding of the context of why people are making decisions that they're making, right? A storm comes. They'll show people suffering in the storm. So the next day, they're like, instead of just having them go, man, that sucked. They'll show the storm. They'll show people suffering the storm, right?
Show the oddballs in the ball pit.
I do not like ball pits.
She does not like oddball pits either. Especially when they get skip the dishes and they get sushi, like Braden did.
Yes, you do you, Braden. You do you.
Okay, so we got this little segment, but this is maybe like. Everything with Braden on the show has been about what he has to eat and his whining or related to that. Otherwise, he doesn't seem to do much.
Boast about Austin, complain. Yes.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you? Okay. All right. And then after that's over, then we get all of this thing about what it was going to have to use the veto. Beth is the one who tips off Jedson, I believe, because I guess Beth we didn't get to see this, but Beth, I guess, had gone to go talk to Austin maybe about what Victoria was going to do. didn't get a good answer. Beth reported this back to Jedson. Jedson goes to confront Victoria, and Victoria's like, hey, yeah, we can talk, but go get Ty, which I thought was awkward. I thought that this all, Jedson having to go get Ty, come back. It was just like this long drawn out thing. Well, why? And she's acting sketch, and it's very sus, and all these things.
Wait. You don't have the.
Oh,
Where's the Josh line? Where's the Josh line?
That's a little sus.
A little sus. A little sus. You asked me to bring up Ty here. What's up? And she just lays it out. Like, listen, like I don't want to, but if you take LaToya down, I'm gonna have to put up Ty or I don't know if she says Beth right away, but she eventually says it's Ty or Beth.
Yeah.
But they're just like, why? And they're just being kind of bratty about it. Is the only way I can describe. Ty is just kind of in shock. He doesn't understand. He can't quite comprehend what's going on. Jedson is just sort of indignant about it. And can't get over this. So, and we see a couple times that LaToya goes by, kind of trying to listen in about what's being said. But at the end of this, and then that ends. So Jedson and Ty go to talk to Beth and LaToya, and they're like, "Why don't the four of us go confront her?" Because they kind of lament about the news, they complain about it a lot, and then they decide to do what we just said Rohan and Kyle kind of shouldn't have done at the top of the episode, which was go for this kind of awkward confrontation.
It's like, why are you so dumb? Why are you so dumb? Why? This is so unnecessary.
Oh, we have a very special announcement here, Jaemeel. Oh, hello. He's made an appearance.
What? And he's wearing green.
Jeff Mader on this special St. Patrick's Day sighting. He's got double green.
Double green.
And Jeff Mader, the co-founder of the Super Mader Brothers podcasting channel, as you can see from our little logo there.
You want some of my Shamrock Shake? It's right here.
Oh, man, I got to get a Shamrock Shake.
See, I had two. I told Dave to come by and pick it up, but, respecting that lockdown.
Yeah, I was like, no, I got it. We're different colors, our zones for this COVID. But Jeff, you're here to talk BBCAN9?
Not really. I didn't watch the episode. I just came to see what you guys are up to.
What happened?
Who won?
Well,
the veto?
Jeff, it's very interesting. There's these two alliances that have formed. They're at odds with each other. One's called the Sunsetters. One's called the Oddballs. And the Oddballs are in control.
Better? Which name is better?
I like the Sunsetters better.
Yes. Don't you think the Oddballs should have named themselves what would I say? The Night Setters? No,
you called them the Midnighters.
The Midnighters.
That would have been more creative than the Oddballs. Is like who named that?
Well, that was Victoria.
Austin said it. Austin said it, and then Victoria kind of jumped onto it
because of this.
Oh my God! It's a ball pit!
There's a ball pit in the Have Not room, Jeff. I don't know if you know that, but
I do now.
Yeah, Victoria, who's the HOH this week, she's from Hamilton, the mountain, and she loves the ball pit. She's like, well, we're the Oddballs, and we love the ball pit.
Right. Yeah, I've seen her as the HOH. She seems kind of a lot of these players seem kind of messy from what I've watched. None of them which is good for us, but not for them. The Victoria, when Amanda was kind of explaining, like she was, an oddball to win. Like she was a wild card. Like I found it interesting that she's like going after LaToya. That's her main target, right?
Well, yeah, and so Jeff, we haven't gotten into this part, Jaemeel, but I have all the respect for Victoria because she's she might not. The legacy of this might burn her. She might get voted out because of everything the amount of capital she's spending here as a player. But man, is it making a good TV show because she's not in that alliance, Jeff. And how many times do we see a member of the like majority alliance, and we've seen the last few seasons that they get into power and they buckle because they go, oh, but they're not, all those people are going to be mad at me, and then they're going to put me up, and so I need to put someone up that the house wants, and who would just be a number for them in the end game, right? So she doesn't do that. She puts she puts members of that alliance up, and then when one of them wins the veto tonight, because that's what happened. A member of that alliance won, and they were going to take one of them down. She's like, well, if you take them down, I'm going to put this person up, which is another member of that group. And they're like, well, you can't do that, and they're just like, oh,
okay. So who won the veto? Was it LaToya or the what's the native
Jensen
guy? What's his?
It wasn't either.
No,
it wasn't a nominee. It was one of their alliance members. Jensen won.
Yeah.
Oh, Jensen won and so he was going to take either LaToya or is his name Kiefer?
Kiefer.
Yeah,
so
Kiefer.
Yeah, he would have taken LaToya down because LaToya even picked him out of the bag. It was house guest choice.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Kiefer's kind of playing wounded animal right now. He's playing wounded.
Well, I mean, I don't think
I understand I'm on the block. If you guys send me home, you send me home. I'm not going to try to campaign. I'm not going to toss any names. I'm playing out. I'm not made for this game, bro. I'm too soft.
So if Jetson uses the veto on LaToya, who goes up beside Kiefer?
Well, that was Victoria's counter, because she's like, okay, well, if you take LaToya down, Jetson, I'm going to put your best friend Ty up, and they're like, well, why would you do that? Right? And
why wouldn't you?
They were so indignant about it. It was hilarious. It was amazing to watch. And they're like, well, okay, well, if not Ty, then how about your girlfriend, Jetson, Beth? And these are no. Put up someone who's not, they wanted to put up Kyle, who's in her alliance, right? And so,
but they don't know that. But at the same time, they're like, look, we've had 2 weeks in a row where you guys have tried to flip the house. I don't want to flip to occur. If LaToya stays on the block, I know that you guys aren't going to flip and vote for Kiefer. If LaToya comes down, I have to put another person that you won't flip on, right? Try to do a flip, which is Beth or Ty. And they're like, well, if you put Kyle there, it's like, if I put Kyle there, you guys are going to flip and vote Kyle out.
No, we will still vote Kiefer out if that's what you want. No, you won't.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right, David. It is nice to watch like the popular kids not get their way, because that often in Big Brother, even when, like, you're right, like even when the unpopular kid wins the HOH, they do the wrong thing. But so it's nice. Yeah, it is good to see that even though Victoria seems kind of like a wild card player, and I don't know if she's super savvy, at least she's doing the right thing, right?
Yes.
Well, yeah, like, Jaemeel, how would you rank her HOH? Like so far,
in terms of Austin, she's a much more effective HOH than Austin, right? Austin had no control over her HOH, it seemed, right? And Victoria,
but it was all back. We were still in these first 2 weeks where, like, especially the Austin HOH was the team thing, so there was like this limitation about who you could put up. Victoria didn't have that; she could put anybody up, right? And
who is Austin going to put up? Like, who should have put up if it wasn't teams?
Well, because she put up Rohan next to Josh, because it was originally Kiefer and Josh, right? And then it ended up, it was Rohan and
people
Josh.
That she doesn't talk to as well.
Right. Like, I don't know who else would have been an option from that team. Maybe. I can't even think.
Yeah, Kiefer and thing that she's not close with.
So Austin's HOH
too early.
Austin's HOH had too many restrictions in that way, but Victoria does not. And I got to give credit to Victoria. I would give her like an A+ for entertainment for this week 3. Like, she's giving us the best week 3 ever. But I think that people are going to say, like, down the road, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 3 weeks down the road, Victoria can't keep her around. She might do what she's about to do to LaToya. So, assuming LaToya is going to go this week, we'll see.
I think she's good as gone. Like, I'll be very, just to be clear with everyone, I am about as caught up with this show as what has aired. I have not seen past what we currently saw in this episode. So okay. I am eagerly awaiting to, Jeff doesn't know. I'm going to tell Jeff. Jeff, they didn't show the veto tonight. They didn't show the veto ceremony.
The ceremony wasn't shown. They cut it they said to be continued tomorrow night. So they're going to show us the end of the veto ceremony tomorrow night. They didn't even show us the start of it, right? We didn't even see
this just reaffirms my point that in some ways the American Big Brother, I think, is better, because I do think you know what you're getting. You know you're going to see the end of the veto ceremony. You know, like they're not going to do that to you. So that's just.
Has the American version never done this? Has the American version never?
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember. But at the same time, they will stick to a format at the fault of the story. This one, they're like, we're going to show these blowups that occurred, right? And we want you to see it happening. The veto, I think, for the most part, is going to be pretty straightforward, honestly, unless like they go buck wild in terms of speeches, right? And I don't even know how you can recover from that. Like, you have to show a little bit of restraint in front of the entire house in that type of setting, because people will remember that. And the veto is shown. No, well, there's no jury house right now, but like you show a level of restraint during the actual ceremony itself. So, like, I think, okay, I'm getting to my issue with the to be continued.
Okay.
My issue with the to be continued isn't the fact that it was to be continued. I like that. I thought it was fantastic. The announcement, like 1 hour prior to veto, right? That kind of an announcement prior to it being cut off, that creates like anticipation. The problem with it is I'm pretty sure next episode is still an hour, right? If we were like, we're going to have stuff cut out that's going to be taking place from Monday to Thursday. We're getting all those days condensed into the time period that's left after the veto, which we're going to see at the beginning of the episode, and the eviction, which is usually at the half hour mark. So that means how much HOH
competition.
Yeah. So all that, those 4 days, the rest of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right, and Thursday, what happened prior to the eviction, all of those 4 days are going to be condensed to what, like 15 minutes?
Well, yeah, because I don't want to see stuff that happened on Tuesday tomorrow. Like I guess
it's important, because what happened was on Monday. All of this, what we've seen, was Monday.
Dave, you were a man of sticking to the format.
I am.
And this is where Big Brother Canada likes to just throw curveballs, because they like to be different. And sometimes it works, I guess. But at the same time, you want to see the drama. You don't want to see the boring stuff,
So even if they just announced, like, hey, there's going to be a programming change due to what happened, we're going to be adding 15 minutes to the program. It's going to start at, instead of starting at 8 o'clock, it's going to start at 7:45. There's going to be less news on ET Canada today. Sorry, right?
Right, Carlos.
We're going to show you 15 minutes of what happened and then go to the rest of the episode. That would be fine. If they announced that would be perfect, because it still says like the information needed for a regular episode is going to be fine, as opposed to feeling that we're going to be shortchanged now for the rest of the week. That's basically 4 days we're going to have condensed to 15 minutes. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I get it. And like, this whole to be continued, like we watched Wednesday to find out what happened with the power of veto. That didn't get played out here. Although I was loving like Victoria and the whole confrontation here at the end, and it was Latoya. She's like, Victoria, she's disgusting, and like it's good.
Jeff, they're having a group conversation. So the four, which is Latoya, Kiefer, Ty, Latoya, Jetson, Ty, and Beth are there, right? And they're all trying to pick Victoria's brain as to why she's giving this ultimatum of taking Latoya off the thing. And Victoria is doing her best to kind of keep them at bay, right? Saying that she still wants to work with them, but at the same time, I don't want to flip. Keeping the nominations the same will ensure that there's no attempt at a flip, right?
Right. And the piece of background you're missing, Jeff, too, is that what happened last week was that they ended up with Rohan and Josh on the block, right? No one liked Josh. He was kind of like this pariah in the house. They were going to get Rout because he was just kind of decided early on they didn't like him, and they it was easy to get rid of him. But Kiefer had pulled himself off the block next to Josh, so Rohan had gone up next to him, and this Sunsetter Alliance, which was, even though they didn't have the HOH, they were kind of controlling a lot of things. They realized, oh no, getting rid of Josh is not good for us because Rohan is much more likely to join up with the people who aren't in our alliance. Jeff is like, I don't want to hear anymore.
Spoilers.
Yeah, he's like, oh, there he is.
He's probably come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, he is. I can see it here.
Bless his heart.
I had 2 feeds open, so I think it was slowing me down.
Probably. But where did you hear what I was saying with the?
Yeah. So like, yeah, the week before, the Kyle guy went. No, it's Josh guy went home, right?
Josh come, but what they realized when Josh and Rohan were on the block was that if we vote out Josh is never going to be like join an alliance, right? Because he's too much of an outcast, but Rohan would. So the Sunsetter Alliance realized this way too late. Latoya, who is at the bossiest of the Sunsetters, was like, no. First she was like, no, we have to vote out Josh, and she rubbed her alliance all the wrong way. Then they kind of eventually flipped. But getting rid of Josh is not smart. We should get rid of Rohan because he's much more likely to become a number for anything that could go against us. They were right, but it was. I think I lay a lot of this at Latoya's feet. I think she was really the one who caused this. So Latoya decides. Well,
she just from what I could tell, it seemed like she made the wrong call and then tried to change her mind, which is a bad decision in Big Brother. Like. Because then people think, at any moment you could just turn on them. And I do think that's that I agree that Latoya looked bad. Also, the scene, do you guys remember when Rohan was and another guy were talking to Kiefer
Kyle.
about Kyle. The episode before, they were they were like, hey bro, you got to come to me and tell me that. He's like, I was playing Big Brother. It's like, you still got to come to me. It's just like, okay, like, I don't know. It's just like they were just like kind of just bullying him into like, like he was doing damage control. I get it, but at the same time, they were kind of just like, they're like, come on, bro, come on. It was like they weren't really getting really any info out of him. They were just like, hey, you just shaming them, shame.
Jeff, you got to watch this episode because basically it's worse.
It's like the sequel to that.
Yeah,
it's a sequel to that.
Yeah.
So they just keep going.
Kiefer and Rohan had like this confrontation with Kiefer in the pantry while he was getting dinner together. They're like, "What are you doing?" And Kyle is like the aggressive hockey guy. You have him in the draft. He's like he's the guy he keeps like going at Kiefer because Kiefer kind of like bullshitted him and told him, "Oh yeah, working together." But then they realized that Kiefer's more loyal to this other group. And so Kyle felt betrayed, and he's he's too aggressive with it.
Is Kyle with Vic?
Kyle's with Vic now
this week,
and Rohan is too.
Because of how badly the Sunsetters played last week. They tried to flip the vote to Rohan at the last second. Everyone went, "What the hell?" Victoria in particular. Victoria goes on to win HOH, and basically is able to found this whole new alliance that's against Latoya and her group. Based on their actions. So the Sunsetters created these circumstances, and just watching them get all angry about the bet they've made. Yeah, unlike Kiefer, who's like, you know what? Like, I got caught playing both sides. I'm willing to like take my licks here. No, not Latoya, not Jedson, not Ty, not Beth. They will not. They cannot. It's not allowed.
I will not. I cannot accept this.
I will not
cannot,
apologize.
Will not, should not.
Like, yeah. The righteousness of Latoya is something else.
So they showed you who won the veto, but they didn't show you whether or not he was going to play the veto. And now we're all up in the air about whether or not he's going to play the veto or not.
Yep. Well, he knows if he plays the veto on Latoya, that just another one of his allies goes up, and that's what he's upset about. And that's what
but who has the numbers in the votes? Like, which alliance has more numbers?
Well, it doesn't matter because it will still be 2 members of their alliance on the vote. That's the thing. They know that if a member of their alliance goes, right, that they lose that advantage. Like, because right now there's
the voting advantage.
The voting advantage. So that's really why they're
huge.
They're stomping.
Which is huge in Big Brother.
Huge.
It really is. Like you see it early in Big Brother games. That's why there's always like a big alliance, because they know if we just stay in this core 7, we don't need to worry. And then the game becomes boring, pedantic. Yeah, you need like the good players, the underdogs for a good season. I find
we were so close. It came down to Kiefer and Victoria in this HOH on Monday, and Victoria wins it. But if it had been Kiefer who won it, then the Sunsetters would have controlled this week. They would have got out somebody else. They would have, and that didn't happen. Victoria wins instead, coming off the heels of this vote flip that didn't go. She felt betrayed. Kyle and Rohan were indignant. Braden and Austin got pulled in, and so now you have the oddballs. Despite we can criticize the name, but they have their own group now, and we're hopefully
you would think you would think a guy like Kiefer would have been in the oddballs, like in any other Big Brother season, But he's in with the cool kids. I don't get it.
Well, they thought that made it less obvious, or it wouldn't be as suspected, right? And gotcha. Tina is the sixth member of this alliance, sort of. So initially, Tina, who is the oldest person in the house, she was going to be a member of it, but Kiefer and Tina were not obvious, right? And plus, it was 3 members from each of these original teams that they had set up. So it was a couple of cross teams, cross alliances. We have different social connections and different skills. It made sense. Or so it seemed, but Kiefer and Tina are definitely at the bottom. These other 4, I don't think they're just very strong players, really. Like they might be good at competitions, but they don't. Like especially Latoya doesn't understand the game quite very well. And
she seems like a good player, though. Like she seems smart. Like she's a police officer. She seems like most police officers that get into a Survivor Big Brother situation end up doing very well. So it's surprising that she's kind of overplaying right now. But I don't know if she survives. I think she'll be okay.
Like Jaemeel would probably disagree with me. We talked about this a little bit, but Latoya reminds me a lot of Vanessa Russo and the way she played in BB17.
Vanessa Russo was a good player, though. Right?
Yeah.
Almost won. She came third place.
She controlled the game a lot, right? Did she? But
she puts herself in a powerful position to be able to do that. And even though she was able to manipulate people, by kind of talking them into corners and stuff, where there's a little bit of finesse in that, even though she was very frantic. Now, Latoya, on this hand, she is like a billy club and just hammers at people constantly.
Doesn't like to take no for an answer.
Does not like no. Won't apologize. Right? Tells people that what they're doing is wrong, and details that.
She judges people too. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's not good. That's not a good look for cops.
I don't think they know she's a cop, right? Like she hasn't exposed that.
Yeah.
No, she said she's a fashion designer, which she also is, right?
She also is that too. Her nickname in the house is LT.
Lawrence Taylor.
Well, no, I just think of LT like a lieutenant, like a police lieutenant.
Yeah.
Well, true. I also think I think of Lawrence Taylor and lieutenants.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's an interesting player, but yeah, we don't get the veto ceremony here tonight. I can't remember that ever happening before. I don't think.
It probably has happened in Big Brother Canada, but
maybe
I don't think it's happened in the States.
Yeah. But we
I think people would be pissed off in the States.
In
Canada, we're like, okay, we'll wait.
Okay. I want to see tomorrow, even though I kind of know what happens, which we can get into the spoiler section here and talk about what we might see. We kind of talked about this in the spoiler section for Monday because we kind of knew on Monday. But if you're going to drop off here, check out our other channels and shows. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to talk about Big Brother. We also do Marvel Cinematic Universe rewatch reviews now. We started with WandaVision on Friday, and so hoping to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier when that series wraps in 10 weeks or so. That's going to start Friday. And we also have our other channels, Live Long and Podcast, which is our Star Trek channel, where we talk about Deep Space Nine on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we do original series rewatch, and we do Star Trek Radio Theater, including this Friday. We're going to be doing statistical probabilities from Deep Space Nine's 6th season. So check that out. We do the script read and reenact it with some sound effects and everything else. That's always a lot of fun. And we also have Trivial Debates, our other channel, which is where we argue about movies, TV, sports, music, and more. Okay, but please stay with us. We hope you stay with us because we're talking about the spoilers and what we can kind of see, what will be the to be continued for tomorrow night. Here's a spoiler. This is Roafu with the great F. Murray Abramson. Brings us in. That's acting, man. That's Shakespearean level acting. Okay, Jaemeel, hit us. I
don't have any spoilers. I told you.
Tell us what you told us the other night. What do we know? What's going to happen in this veto ceremony?
I don't know. Like literally, the last thing I saw was this. Oh yeah, they're not going to play the veto. That's what I mean.
But I thought on Monday you said they had the ceremony had happened and it wasn't used.
The ceremony did happen and it wasn't used. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so you do know
it was not used.
Not used.
Victoria was able to get Jedson not to use it, and so Kiefer and Latoya. I'm sorry, Kiefer and Latoya stay on the block, and that's it. One of them goes, and it's got to be Latoya.
It's got to be Latoya.
But let's think about how these.
So here, here are the votes. Yeah, we have Rohan voting, Braden, Austin. Braden.
So you name the person. I'll say who they're gonna vote for.
Okay, so Rohan.
He's gonna vote Latoya
out. Braden.
Latoya out.
Austin.
Latoya out.
Beth.
Latoya out.
She'll vote Latoya out too, you think?
She'll smell it in the air.
Kyle.
Kyle
is definitely he's definitely a Latoya vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Tara.
Latoya out. Actually, you know what? How many are we at? What's the vote? What's the vote count at?
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people voting. So it could tie, I guess.
And then so I could either see it as a tie or it has
Are there 4 people on the Sunsetters voting here?
It will be Ty, Beth, Jedson, 3, and Tina. Yes. So they
could tie it. They could. So if those 4 people go, let's vote Kiefer, then it would force Victoria to choose who to vote out,
and she would vote out Latoya because Latoya, she's more angry with Latoya.
Then they would have to flip. They would have to flip one of Rohan, Braden, Austin, or Kyle.
No, that's not likely to happen. I don't think. Like Tara is maybe somebody who could flip, I guess.
But still.
But I don't think Tina is likely to do this because I don't think Tina wants to expose herself here to force a tie on Victoria because that would if Tina does that, I think Tina's too smart to do that. Victoria will go, okay, so you're the 6th member of that group, which they don't realize right now. Tina's playing double agent, and
does Ty and Beth do they want to keep Latoya? Are they more tight with Latoya than they are Kiefer?
Yes.
At this point, Latoya is a major driving force in that eviction, in that alliance, and Kiefer's kind of just playing dead. So when you're trying to think of who's going to be looking after me and running the show post this week, right? It's Latoya. So they're going to want to keep Latoya. They think that Kiefer is either going to go home and he's going to be okay with it, or they're going to want Latoya to stay. Latoya is the better option overall for their interests.
Yeah, Kiefer, I don't think they're just not as tight with Kiefer. Kiefer was going to be like this sort of like unsuspected member of their alliance, but he's clearly now after this week, it's obvious. The only one that's managed to keep cover is Tina. And will they force a tie to save Latoya? I don't know if it's worth it to them because Latoya's just not been a team player.
To get those additional votes, so that they can make it a 5-4 tie. I don't think they're going to be being able to get from any of the swing people.
Like Tina realizes that Latoya created all this chaos that basically burned down their alliance in a week. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she should take the bullet. Yeah, that's probably what they're gonna say. Yeah. Yeah, because Kyle said there's a quote from him. He says, "Hey, Latoya, that's what you call a flip. Say hi to Josh for us. Showtime."
Was that a spoiler?
Yeah, it was from earlier today. Apparently.
So maybe that apology was not so honest tonight, Jaemeel, for Kyle and Latoya.
It was never a thing. It was the reason why it wasn't is because it is politically oriented. It wasn't a true like Rohan Sorry was different than
Yeah,
Ooh,
Kyle was
it's
called
not-
a bully.
It's
And
not
so
a
he had-
four. It's not. It's not 8 people voting. I was wrong. It's 9 people voting because I forgot about Jetson.
yeah.
So yeah, but they'll lose a number. The Sunsetters lose a number here this week, no matter what. And most of the people on that from that Sunsetter Alliance have burned themselves, like other than Tina, Beth, Jedson, Ty. I think people will still be nice to them because they're physical threats. Potentially, they could win. They could become HOH, but I think once those people don't have numbers anymore, like or any kind of a grouping, like there's.
I need a key for HOH right now.
So you want to see Jaemeel like the pendulum and the power shift back the other way? You want to see? Are you rooting for Kiefer?
I think there's a possibility that the pendulum isn't going to swing the other way. I think that the other side will have the ability to flex a little bit about with Kiefer's HOH, especially because he did some of them dirty. I think that would be pretty cool that he was in that position where it's like, I'm not really going to throw out names and he has to pick names, right? Is he going to stay? I think that would, if he's HOH, that's the end of the Sunsetters, in my opinion.
Because you don't think he would show his cards there and be super loyal to them, right?
Correct.
Because how could he? Like if he let's say he leaves all those 4 off, they would or the survive. Well, I guess the 3 it would be the 3 survivors that they know about. If they leave them off the block, then they'll go, oh, well, there you go. I don't know. That'd be like, so Kiefer winning HOH would be an interesting development. Like if someone from this oddballs wins again, if they have the 3 HOHs in a row, maybe that's too many, maybe that won't be fun. However, if I would like to see these guys, I kind of do want to see that happen. I want to see the Sunsetter humbled just a bit more. I would like to see I kind of want to see Jedson out of this game more than anything right now.
Okay.
Or Ty. I could take either one of them could go. Beth too. I don't know.
The popular kids.
Yeah, but they're not so popular right now. It's kind of what the
Yeah.
interesting thing is. Like, can I ask you another? Okay, Jaemeel, I had this other question that came up in my mind tonight. In this final pitch, there was like this. They're kind of like Ty, Jedson, Latoya are kind of accusing it, like Victoria in this kind of final moments here. This conversation they have here, because we never thought you would do this to us. And is it because they're all black? Is that what they're referring to? Like that Victoria was supposed to stay loyal to that?
I think it's because a multitude of things. One, they're in a position of not being in power. They can't control their own destiny, and they're being told that they can't do what they want. That's one thing. Two, they ignored Victoria's request to be in a team because she was like really, like from day one, really going from
so Victoria wanted to form an alliance with them, and they never did it.
They are legit saying that she did try to align with them earlier on, and for the most part, when asked, she was pretty much blown off, right?
Right.
Tina
So what was
built
Latoya? What was Jaemeel? What was the Latoya when she was saying to her, "Remember how people treated you before and how they're treating you now"? It's like,
so
like what?
Kyle, multiple people have told Victoria that Kyle's been talking crap about her, right?
Which isn't true, right?
No, he probably did. He most likely did. But the fact of the matter is, when given the chance, he aligned with her immediately, right? Whereas she went directly to them, and it's not like they said no. They didn't even give her really an answer, right?
Right, but
They
they
would
but they
watch from
yeah.
8 to 9. Like she was like on a totally different schedule, and like she wasn't involved in any type of conversation. So it irked her when prior to HOH, she'd never got brought into any of these conversations or anything. She had no power, right? And then now she's HOH. All of a sudden, everyone's like up in her crack, right? And now she's being demanded that her HOH means something different than what she intended.
Right. But like that, yeah. Yeah. It was just, it took me a little off guard, a little, just because it was kind of an interesting appeal they were trying to make to her. And she didn't seem to have any kind of loyalty to that. I'm not saying she should or shouldn't, but it was just kind of, she's like, no, like that's not my priority in life. Like to, let you know, like, and the way you blew me off before. It's like I think in particular Jedson and Ty's read of Victoria was so bad. Like they misread her so badly. They thought that they had her in their back pocket, and they never did. Right? Like, you know, she just because she played it up like, hey, I'm the happy party people. Oh my god, it's a ball pit. But she's much smarter than she lets on. She's way more intuitive than she lets on. And
well, she speaks like a valley girl, Dave. I mean,
yeah,
like it's
she's from the mountain, Jeff.
I know she's a mountain girl. She sounds like she's from like Clueless era, you know, like world, you know. Sometimes when she talks, and I'm just like, yeah, I can see how people might think she's not intimidating or intelligent.
Well, I think people underestimate her incredibly. Like, I think people think she's not as smart as she is, and is not as capable as she is, and big mistakes on their part.
No.
Absolutely.
So hey, Victoria, you made this season fun. So hey, way to represent. So I guess we have that's it, right? It's we said
no
Kyle,
spoilers. We're going in clean and fresh.
Okay, we're going in clean and fresh. Although Kyle did say something to Latoya, which I'm excited to see. All right, okay, so let's we're at 80 minutes. So I think that's good for tonight. We're going to be back tomorrow night to talk about the eviction. What happened? Will it be Latoya? Will it be Kiefer? Will something happen over the next 24 hours? Who knows? But out there, somebody will be watching. All right, thanks for the coming in, Jeff, and talking with this. Because you're the first person we've talked to outside of Jaemeel and I about any of these episodes. So
no problem.
All right, and I guess we can call it a night, right? That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
All right,
tomorrow.
All right. Until then.